made over 50% in the market over multiple strategies completely automated over the last 3 months. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm AiAtom, and I teach you about automation and AI. So this is not financial advice, and only risk or invest money you can afford to. Because as we all know, past returns are not indicative of future gains. But I have been using Composer to automate my trading for over 2 years now in multiple accounts, and have been beating the market hands-off. And that is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Not only that, but I'm going to give you one of my favorite strategies that has done 150% live this past 12 months. So let's jump into Composer, my favorite no-code automated trading platform. And if you want 25% off your membership, grab my code from the description below. Now let's dive in. Composer is an all-in-one tool for automated trading in crypto and stocks, with the added benefit of opening a brokerage with Alpaca when you open a Composer account. So you get an FDIC insured brokerage off the bat and can start live trading immediately. But Composer allows you to put together no-code algorithms to trade stocks and crypto. And it's done over $2 billion in trading volume and almost 1 billion orders so far, so it's not a new kid on the block. Composer also has a great Discord channel with lots of strategy sharing and resource sharing that's put together by the users of the platform. Here you can get advice on different portfolios or take different strategies and mash them up, accelerating the learning curve really quickly on building your own algorithms and getting to live trading. But now let's jump into Composer so I can show you what I've learned in the last 2 years of trading this live and how you can do it too to get results like this. Wow! And what you're seeing here are individual equity curves of the different strategies I've been live trading over the last 3 months. But it wasn't always like this. If I go back to all-time trading, you can see that only a few of the strategies that I started out with survived because I've been rebalancing, dropping off strategies that didn't necessarily work for me, and putting in new ones for the last 2 years.
Darwin says let him die.
And in those 2 years, I've created a strategy for creating strategies, investing, and reallocating that now is working really well for me. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, exactly how I like to manage my strategies along with how to use Composer. Let's jump into the basics. Currently, I'm in Composer and I'm in the Portfolio tab. And the Portfolio tab is where I can see the current performance of the different strategies I'm running. I can also see the individual strategies down here. And I have 68 total strategies currently running in this portfolio, all in different allocations. Now, if I want to jump into a specific strategy, I can just click on it and it's going to show me my current live performance with that strategy. Now, I add as I go, and this is what we'll get into later, but we can see the general equity curve that we have with something like Starburst. I can also go through and click on simulated trading, and this is where I can backtest this specific strategy to the extent that it has information on the stocks that it's trading within this. Now, this is actually a strategy I grabbed directly from the Discord channel.
One thing led to another, and I stole it.
And the Discord channel is an amazing resource for all the different strategies. So I like to mix and match different ideas from different contributors to put together my portfolios. Now in this, we also have the watch and unwatch. And if I unwatch this, this will be taken off my watch list. But the watch list is a great tool for seeing what's working well and reallocating when you get those opportunities. I also can choose to invest more or less. You can see right now I have about $8,000 in cash in this account, and I like to keep a good balance here so I can invest as I go and add into these strategies. I also run 2 accounts on this platform. Now, the other feature within the backtester is the ability to add in benchmarks. So you can see that SPY is here and the green curve is the equity for Starburst. Now, if I go to add benchmarks, I can also add in other strategies, which in Composer are called symphonies. So if I want to compare this directly to another strategy, I just have to pop in here and add it and rerun the backtest, and it will show up as another equity curve. So it's really great for comparing different strategies, getting a look at the equity curves and seeing which strategies might be anti-correlated or working in different ways. I'm also able to go down and see the simulated performance of this strategy along with really important metrics like beta, which give me an idea of how correlated the strategies that I have versus the running strategy are, and different performance metrics across the board. So this is fantastic for breaking down the strategy and making tweaks so you may have a better balanced portfolio or different strategies running that are not correlated to each other. On the portfolio tab, I'm also able to invest or sell the different strategies so I can reallocate quickly. And this will always happen at the end of the day because all of these strategies are daily strategies or are based on a threshold. But when I invest a certain amount into a strategy like $50, this is going to hold and take place at the end of the day. Finally, I'm able to take a look at all of the individual holdings that my different strategies have currently within this portfolio. So this is really useful if you want to make sure that you're not over allocated in a certain ETF or have too much risk in certain kinds of ETFs. Now, after portfolio, we have watch list. In the watch list, every time you choose to watch a strategy, it will show up here and start monitoring the performance of that strategy. So you can see I have over 13 pages of different strategies here, but the really useful thing here is that you're able to monitor it since inception or since you've been watching it, but you can also filter it by relative metrics like annualized return, Sharpe ratio, max drawdown, or a variety of other ones like Kalmar ratio. This is super helpful to see which ones have been working really well, and when you're mixing and matching different strategies, you can go here and reference this like a database, taking different strategies from here based on the metrics you're trying to filter for. Finally, we have Discover, and Discover is where you can find different strategies that are actually shared directly on Composer. So here we have a ton of different ones that have been shared to the community in Composer rather than the Discord channel. And this is a great place to go if you're just getting started to try to see what things are working well in the community. I have found some really good strategies in here, but most of the ones that I currently use are from the Discord community. So a huge shout out to you guys, Nova, Pietro, Derek, Fever, and all of the other guys who have been contributing actively on the Discord. Now, finally, we have Create, and this is where it gets interesting. This is where you create the symphonies and the algorithms that you want to put together. Composer is a no-code platform that allows you to create strategies by blocks. So you're able to do things like if-else statements, filters by different performance metrics, or just grab strategies and put them together. So it becomes really powerful really quickly once you start understanding how different markets work and just in experimenting with different strategies. Now, there are a few different blocks that you can add in here. An asset block will allow you to add a direct asset that you want to trade, like NVIDIA. A group block is a way of organizing almost like a file. A weight block allows you to set the allocation of the different things below it. So I can choose specified, which allows me to break things down in percentages, or I can look at things like inverse volatility, which will measure the volatility over a certain period of time and weight these inversely to the volatility of the returns. And market cap will only really work on stocks or ETFs that have a market cap, but this allows me to weight by the size of the company. An if-else block allows me to set conditions on the trades or the decisions being made in the algorithm. So I can set things based on certain functions like the relative strength index of 14 days and look at specific things around this. So looking at something, for example, like if the relative strength is greater than, say, 70, then it will go into a certain asset, let's say something like Bill. Else, it will go down and continue the logic. So this is where Composer becomes really powerful. Finally, a filter block will allow me to filter based on the different metrics. So I can go through and look at something like the cumulative return over the last 10 days, and I can look at just trading or having my money in the top 2 items on whatever list. So here I can add a series of items like the SPY, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, AMD, and depending on the cumulative return over the last 10 days, it's going to only have my money in the top 2 cumulative return assets. So using if-else blocks and these conditional filters become a really powerful tool in Composer. So let's go ahead and create a strategy really quickly. I'm going to remove all this and let's make one from scratch. So first I'm going to start with an if-else conditional block. And I don't want to be in the market or in certain assets when the market is overbought. So I'm going to do a relative strength of 10 days for the NASDAQ, which is ticker symbol QQQ. And if it's greater than a fixed value of 75, so if the RSI is over 75, I want to be in some more stable assets, so not in the market. So I'm going to look at the bill, so the T-bill, which is highly stable, and let's also add a little bit of short protection, so XQQQ. So this is the ultra short for the QQQ. Now, if it's not overbought, what do I want to do? So in this case, I'm going to add another if-else conditional. Now I want to be in highly leveraged assets assets when the market is oversold. So I'm going to do the same thing here with relative strength index of 10 days on the QQQ. And if the RSI is less than, let's say, 30, I want to be in a leveraged upside ticker. So we'll go with TQQQ, which is the triple leveraged NASDAQ. So when the QQQ goes up 1%, TQQQ should go up 3%. So these are kind of the two main blocks. Is when it's overbought, I want to be in short assets, and when it's oversold, I want to be in long assets. And here, let's just go with the QQQ. So basically, it stays in the market, but when it gets overbought, it leverages up. When it gets oversold, the other way around, it goes into short assets. And let's see what this looks like. So just a really simple logic. And you can see that this tends to do really well because it's based off of a very fundamental logic, right? If the market is overextended, let's maybe get into some other assets or de-risk. And if the market is oversold, let's crank the risk up a little bit because it's more likely to bounce.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for us.
And we can see here that we have all the metrics on that. So this goes up 26 annualized return over the last 14 years or so. And it has a max drawdown of 28. So both metrics are better than the SPY. So it can be that easy to put together really simple steps and logic for a successful strategy. Composer is also in beta testing with Create with AI. So if I click here, I can go and code directly using this, but I can also add a prompt and have it create something using this prompt. So let's see what it comes up with a strategy that scales in and out of QQQ, triple leveraged Q, and triple leveraged short Q based on the RSI. And you can see that it's added in different blocks here. So I can hit insert and backtest, and we can see directly how this strategy performs. So this is really useful if you're just getting started as well, because you can see what the Composer AI would do based on what you are trying to accomplish. But you can build tons of different successful strategies and maybe get outsized performance. But this is not what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at the meta strategy dealing with multiple strategies that's going to help you get outsized performance. So here's the meta strategy that I use with Composer. I gather strategies or put them together myself from the Discord community or from the Composer community. And all of these strategies get added to the watch lists. Now, with the watch list, I have that constantly being monitored and I check in on that. But I also do initial back tests, and if I see something with really good metrics that I like the look of, aka it has low drawdown, high Sharpe ratio, high return, and it's relatively simple in terms of the logic it uses, that might go directly into data collection. Now, from the watch list and the back tests, I collect data on all of the strategies based on the different metrics that I'm looking for, and that goes into a selection process. So based on the performance of the strategies, whether it's on the watch lists or from initial back tests, I select different strategies that I want to use in my live trading. Now, I look at quite a few different things, but some of the main things I look at are things like the beta value. So how correlated is the strategy to the overall market and to the other large strategies that I hold? I use this to filter out strategies that are highly correlated. I also look at things like performance and drawdown and the complication of the strategy. So how many rules are included in the strategy and how likely is it to be overfit on the market? Once I've done this analysis and completed my selection, I have a number of strategies that I maybe want to try out live trading. I then take those and I'll combine them, tweak them, and finalize them depending on the outcome I'm trying to get. So if I want a low beta, I'll try to create strategies that have that metric relative to the SPY. Or if I want something that's highly diverse, I'll try to get that metric. But I generally will combine multiple strategies into a single symphony so they rebalance against each other, tweak them so they're less overfit, and then finalize them so they're ready for live trading. Once they're ready for live trading, I'll add them into my live portfolio with a low allocation, meaning in my case, somewhere between $300 and $400. And once they're in the live portfolio, then it comes to upkeep. And this is really where it gets important. So the live upkeep for my portfolio typically happens every 2 weeks. I do a 2-week review looking at all of the strategies strategies that I'm currently trading. And I like to take a look at which ones are really outperforming or underperforming. From that, I can make a decision on what I want to do with that strategy. And it typically comes in 3 different sections. I'll either hold that strategy, meaning I'm not adding or reducing any capital to the strategy, or if a strategy is performing really well, I'll keep that in mind and I'll wait till it has a red day and then add additional funds, typically between $50 and $100 to that strategy every 2 weeks. Or if it's underperforming or doing really badly or not performing well in the live market setting, I'll reduce that holding but still leave some capital in it so I can see if it will recover. This leads to my rebalanced portfolio, and I constantly do this every 2 weeks. So the strategies that do well and continue to do well will get more capital put into them. And this really outsizes the performance on the strategies that are working well. And the strategies that aren't working so well will be reduced in capital, and I'll have a larger amount of capital to allocate for new strategies that I'm introducing. This allows me to really double down on the ones that are winners and reduce my risk on the ones that don't work as well. And you can see that in practice in my portfolio, where the strategies that underperform and are maybe under the net value that I put into them have the lowest allocations. But as a strategy starts to perform better and better, I begin adding more and more money to it. So $50 to $100 at a time. So by the time I get up to the top, my best strategies have the highest allocations. This allows me to effectively double down on my winners and take risk off of my losers while cycling in new strategies. And here is a final pro tip. When I have an idea about a strategy and know that it's performing really well, I won't just add money at the 2-week mark. I'll actually wait for it to have a bad day or multiple bad days before I add in. So I essentially dollar cost average into that strategy at a discount. For example, with TQQ for the long term, which is a great strategy from the Discord, I have been trading this for a long time and it's performed really well for me. So while I scale out sometimes and make room for other strategies, I added at this discount here along with this discount here because I have faith in the strategy long term, and I was able to profit on that additional gain with that extra money that I added in when the strategy was at a discount. So if you're interested in Composer, I've left a link in the description for a strategy that you can check out and get started on right away, along with a referral code that'll get you 25% off for life. And if you want another video where I go in depth on strategy creation or want another strategy sent to you, leave a comment below.